say something from all of us towards you. You've this last week, what you've done to change your mindsets, you, the staff, Tom Bates, has been unbelievable, because I'm not going to lie, there was some people doubting it, but what you've showed us and the work you've put in and done for us this week has been second to none, and we want to thank you and staff. The way he worked with us and made us believe and pushed all that to the side, I just felt was brilliant, and it shows you the person that he is. Don't get it twisted, we know what it means to the fans, and I can safely say that we'll go out there and leave everything on the pitch to get them the right result and the bragging rights.
Baz, pleasure. Good to see you. Just a few days away from the final. It's quiet here now, but against Peterborough in the second leg, it's safe to say it wasn't quiet at all. It must be the loudest I've ever heard this place. Obviously, you're playing better football at Sheffield Wednesday than we did when I was there. Any emotional recollections of the night that you can share with us?
The noise is the main thing. It probably stood out. Obviously, I've been here a long time now, but I think, like you said, the other night was the loudest I've heard it. The only one it probably comes close is Brighton. First leg years ago in the Championship playoff, probably close, but I think the other night's the best night and loudest night I've had here so far.
Is it, because when you're watching it, it's unfolding like it's some kind of movie script, it's something bigger than everyone involved in that. Can you feel it on the pitch, or are you just that focused that there's a job that needs to be done and we're going to do it by hook or by crook?
No, there was times on the pitch where I spoke to like Josh or someone and says this is crazy, but it's mad because the way we planned the game out all week and worked on game plans and breaking the game into like 25 minutes and what we were doing, it all came to plan on the night, it all worked. So going through the game we were like, this is crazy, because it never ever worked the way you
Things never got to plan, do they, in football?
So, but just happened to be that night. But we did say before the game that when I was speaking to family and people like that, I was like, everything needs to kind of be perfect or go our way. But in the flip side, the first leg, everything went against us because we had big chances as well. We had a penalty turned down, deflected goals, so we knew that it's possible because it happened for them probably in the first leg where everything went perfect, never for us. But yeah, there was times in the games where I thought, this is crazy, like it just don't feel real. And even still a couple of days after, I was waking up and thinking,
did that actually happen? Yeah. The fascinating thing is, from my point of view as an ex-player, to watch you in a game like that, because it is so full of emotion, it's so fast and everything's going on around it, but the way that you play football kind of operates at the opposite end of that. You've constantly got time on the ball, you've constantly got the ball under control, you know what you're doing with it, and you're the one that takes a breath in proceedings to make sure that Sheffield Wednesday play the way the manager and you want Sheffield Wednesday to play. That's always been part of your game. Is it something that you concentrate more on in a game such as that, or is it just purely natural to you?
It didn't feel that. It didn't actually feel that way in the game. I felt as if it was frantic. I didn't have much space, but when I go and watch it back, it probably does look like that. But no, it's just the way I've played football since I was a kid. I want to get on the ball, I want to make things happen. I'm not the biggest physicality-wise, so I need to be good with my movement and go into areas where that don't become a problem for me. So I've always tried to do my work off the ball quite early so that it buys me the time on the ball and allows me to do the things that I want to do. So it's just something I've always done. It's the way I've played the game, and I'm lucky that I'm getting the chance to do it at a big club like this. But the other night it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel as if it was 100 miles an hour, and I would have liked to have got my foot on the ball a bit more, but I just got to concentrate in key moments in games like that, like at the end where I could have maybe shot or put it back into the box. It's about picking the right pass there to change the angle to get a better cross in. Little things like that, that's where I've got to be at my best because that's when the team needs me most.
The biggest thing that came out of it as well was the manager talking about the belief to get yourselves over what was a ginormous hurdle. There was a great picture, I think your wife put it on Instagram, of you sat relaxing after, just taking a break and just kind of pumping the brakes and enjoying the moment. The key thing, because we spoke, didn't we, not too far from here, about it was a big game, but that big game's gone now. Such is the nature of football. It can be wonderful, it can be a game for the ages, which is what it was, but it's gone because the biggest game is now coming. What's the build-up been like between the two games, and how have you all managed to kind of keep your emotions in check?
Well, we enjoyed it that night. Obviously, you've got to enjoy them moments because we're not in football for a long time. They don't come around like that very often, so we enjoyed it that night. But from Sunday onwards, we've been back in preparing as we would any other game. It's important that we got back in as soon as possible and kind of let all the outside noise that gets put to one side now. We've got another massive job ahead of us on Monday, bigger than the game the other night, so we need to focus now, do what we've been doing all season. We have a game plan, work at it and believe in it, and that's what we've done for the second leg. We believed in what the manager was telling us to do. He had a plan for us to win that game, and it's about sticking to that and trusting the process. And obviously it's different occasion at Wembley. A lot of people in the changing room probably ain't been there, but we've just got to treat it like any game. I know it sounds hard, but we've got to treat it like any other game and go out there and do what we want to do. And we know it's going to be tough, but like you said, the semi-final's gone now. That's forgot about. We've only got to a final. It's important that we get back on the ground and do what we've been doing the whole season and getting ready for this massive game on Monday.
96 points over the course of the regular season, an immense point haul for any club in any division across English football. Not going up automatically, the reaction to that, disappointment, jubilation, moving into the final itself. There's a lot of expectation that comes with playing for Sheffield Wednesday, isn't there? And given the fact that you've been here for such a long time now, is it something that you carry as part of your job? It's just the way it is?
I love it. I love the expectation. I'd much rather be at a club that expects and you're meant to go out and win every week than being in a club where mid-table mediocrity is fine. You can go out there and get away with the odd bad game. You can't do that here. No matter what, you're expected to win, and that's the way it's been ever since I've been here. Even in the Championship, I was lucky that I played for a really strong Championship team when I first came here. Expectation levels were the same as they are now, so that's why I'm in football. You want to play under pressure and you want to play for a club where it actually matters, because the way I've been brought up is 3 older brothers, you've got to win at everything, whether it's PlayStation.
So they never went easy on you at all?
No, I was like, we broke that many pool cues and things like that. And it's even still like that now. Like, I won't let my daughter beat me at many things.
How old is she?
She's 3. But it's just the way I've been brought up. So I've been brought up to win at everything, no matter what it is. And that's why I've stuck around here for so long as well, because the pressure and the expectancy is what I'm in football and what's instilled in me.
So that's, I mean, the length of time that you've been at Wednesday, yourself and Liam Palmer, if I remember rightly, players that were involved in the last player final, of course. 33 years old now, and this is me not wishing away any more of your career, but given what you've seen from the likes of Darren and his coaching team and the managers that have been in that you've played under, is that something that you've got your eye on post-playing? As I said, you've got plenty of gas left in the tank, plenty of miles left in those legs, but when that time does eventually come, could you see yourself stood by a pitch, barking orders and telling players what to do?
Yeah, I could. I love football, I live and breathe football, so everything that I do when I go back home, no matter if it's German, Spanish, I'll watch it. I watch football constantly, my wife hates it, but we go into spare rooms and live separate lives, to be honest. But no, I live and breathe football, it's the way I've been since I've been brought up. So coaching's definitely somewhere in my mind going forward, but I've still got a few years left in me, I think, at a good level, but I would definitely love to manage if I could be as lucky as the manager here. Whatever level, whatever age group, I'll always try and stay in football for as long as possible, whether that's management or coaching, and try and pass on the the stuff that I've learned. And
you must be doing that now, though. I bet younger players come and ask you questions, or sometimes in that sense of you don't realise that you're imparting knowledge and experience. You're just having a chat, and then you realise, oh, I've actually got a huge bank of games to discuss potential places in matches which could help a younger player.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the oldest in the changing room, so there's even like some of the starters who are a bit younger than me. You find yourself speaking to them, and you find they're actually like looking for help here.
And they listen to what you say,
they're listening,
don't they?
and they're taking it in. So sometimes you don't realise because it's your teammate that they actually look up to you and they want to learn from you.
Yeah.
But it's a good bunch, and we've got a few young ones in there as well. So any help that I can give them, I give them and try and help them along the way. But it's a really good squad, and they all kind of look up to me as the captain and one of the oldest people in the changing room. So I'm privileged to be in the position that I'm in, and enjoy that side of it as well.
So what's the approach then? Because it's fair to say that you've got a Barnsley side that you're coming up against that have had the measure of Wednesday over the course of the season. Is it a case of third time lucky for you lads?
No, we've spoke about it. Like there's no revenge or anything here. It's a cup final at the end of the day. It's a one-off game. Whoever wins gets promoted. If we were silly enough to look at it as revenge, we would get carried away and lose sight of what we're trying to be here to achieve. So it's going to be a tough game. We've played them twice, like you said, lost both games, but we've took things out of them games as well where we can work on and try and be better. But like I said, it's not a revenge mission or anything. It's just about us wanting to get to the championship, and whoever's in the way, we've got to try and get past them. But they're a good team. They've done very well this season. With the new manager's done a great job there. So we know it's going to be a very tough game, but it's one that we're ready for and looking forward to.
Well, Michael Duff, of course, the Barnsley manager, has already said that even though you're looking at relative size of football clubs that we're talking about, and the fact that Barnsley do have the whip hand this season, he's put the onus firmly back on Sheffield Wednesday being the favourites for this. But again, in all your time playing for Wednesday, in the Championship as well, I presume more often than not, it's Wednesday that are favourites in most matches, isn't it? Yeah,
nothing changes for us. Like I touched on earlier in the interview, we're expected to win every game.
Yeah.
From this fan base, from us as a team in the changing room as well, we put that onus on ourselves as well because we believe in our abilities. So it don't change by people saying this and that, favourites. We're always expected to win with this fan base that we've got. They come and expect us to beat whoever. Played Newcastle, Southampton this season. We were expected to win. It's just the way it is with this fan base. They're passionate and they believe in their club and support their club. So we don't look at that because it don't change much for us because it's just it's the normal. We're expected to win no matter who we play against. So it's good in a way because when you go into things like this, big finals, it don't change much. The mindset's the same. You're expected to go out there and win the game no matter who it is.
In the run-up to these big games, it's as much logistical preparation as it is for the match, isn't it? So being the man that's in charge, the skipper, have you been in charge of tickets?
Not me started on this.
It's the worst bit, isn't it?
I have, but not for the squad. But any problem they've got with tickets or just everything really, like...
Everyone comes to you?
Yeah, it's me. So I had to text people yesterday saying, just go and speak to the gaffer, please, and give me a minute. But we've tried...
Who's been the worst?
I don't want to throw him under the bus, but George Byers probably. And he's been injured, so no, he's a great kid. I'd do anything for him, and he's one of the ones I will try and help because he was a big part of the club this season, and we missed him through injury, and we missed. It's probably hard to say, but if he was fit, I don't think we'd need the playoffs.
Yeah, he was
that crucial. So it's good for things like that because it's important that the people who are out injured still feel part of it because they've all played a part this season. Yeah. So I don't mind doing it for him because he needs to feel part of it because he's played a massive part in where we are. So no, but it's I've just tried to make it where everything's done today and it's all done so we can get concentrating on what actually matters on the pitch, the football. So tickets, hotels for families. I've said if it's not done today, then that's it.
Speak to someone else.
Yeah, we need to move on.
That must be such a tough thing though, because it's all anyone in the blue part of Sheffield will be talking about, and that's the great thing that I learnt as I got older, was what professional football is about. It's the professional side of it. It's about dealing with your emotions, making sure that you do everything between now and that game to make sure that you're in the best possible position physically, mentally and emotionally. So I'm picturing you, I don't know, pushing your little girl on the swings and she's demanding your attention, but you'd be forgiven for your mind wandering into other realms and thinking about what it might look like at the final whistle at Wembley.
Yeah, I was on the trampoline wheel last night at 7 o'clock at night.
Taking it easy.
Jumping around, and I was thinking, I've got a final in a few days, I shouldn't be doing this. No, it is. My mind always wanders, because I'm always one of them ones that plays previous games through my head, or nights before games I'll try and play the game and picture it through in my head of situations that I might find myself in. So my mind has wandered since we made the playoffs, of obviously going up them steps and lifting the trophy. I'm a firm believer in, if you can self-talk yourself and self-see things, then they actually can happen. So
that kind of manifestation.
Yeah, manifest
type thing,
it and see it and believe in it. So I've always been big for that, of mainly before games, night before games in hotels, just letting my mind wander to situations that I'll find myself in the pitch and what I'll do, and I always do that. So you're right, like tomorrow's a day off, but your mind will be switching through the day to Wembley and what you're going to do in the game and what things are going to happen in the game. So as much as I'm a family man, I'll always be switching to football at some point.
It sounds very similar to the way that Darren goes on about, sorry, not goes on about, that sounds terrible, the way that he talks about his job and his vocation for his job, and that keyword belief and picturing what things could look like and how success comes. Do you find yourself as aligned with this manager as you have with any that you've played for?
Yeah, he's quite similar to the way I feel about football and the way I see it. I remember his first talk he had with me when he got the job here. He was like, "You're one of the longest serving players here. What's wrong with the club?" Because we were in a bad state at the time. And the first thing I touched on was, we don't really have a style of play. It's like, when you look at us, what actually are we? And he said he would change that from day one, and he wanted to play football, which I'd never really seen his Doncaster team play, or I'd seen West Brom and stuff like that. But going from the gaffer's background of how he played to how
what do you mean by that, tell us?
Oh, he showed us a video today in the FA Cup one of the playoff finals, and he's just smashing the ball out of play.
He was a very formidable opponent, was Darren Moore. Yeah, scary as you walked out, and then as the game panned out, equally as dominating and as impressive, and then just the nicest fella off it.
Yeah,
frightening, wasn't it?
That's him now. Like, but the way he played the game and the way he wants the game played, two different worlds really, and that surprised me really. And I was a firm believer in the way he wanted to play, and I bought into it, and the team have bought into it. And like you touched on there, off the pitch as well, as a person, you can go to him with anything. And I think that's why a lot of players that have played under him want to do so well, because not only as a manager is he good, but away from the field you can go to him with anything and he'll help you. He just wants to help everybody. So he's a great man, and that's why the other night when I said what I said after the game, you just wanted me to do well, because not only as a manager, but more importantly as a person, he's second to none.
Was that completely off the cuff then, talking after the game?
Well, the gaffer started talking about, he normally speaks after every game, so he spoke after that game. And we obviously, emotions were high, and the week that the gaffer had off the pitch as well, I just felt it was the right time to thank him for what he done that week, because he did a lot of things away from football that he shouldn't be dealing with. He had that on his mind as well, and the way he worked with us and made us believe and pushed all that to the side, I just felt was brilliant, and it shows you the person that he is.
It does, and it was a really moving thing to watch, because that inner sanctum of what a dressing room is, you do share things that, it's a funny thing, football, isn't it? You can spend your lives in each other's pockets and people move football clubs and you completely lose touch, but when you are together in those moments, it's that band of brothers sticking together, isn't it?
Yeah, we are a quite close squad. We don't.
Which is
really,
not a given,
no,
is it?
no,
People
no,
might look at footballers saying they're all footballers together, they get on, because I'm sure you've been in dressing rooms where you look around thinking, not so sure.
Well, every changing room's not perfect.
Yeah.
You obviously have people who don't get on, but at the end of the day, you all want the same thing, and that's to get promoted. So, but things like the other night, things like that happening, it just brings you that little bit closer. As weird as it sounds, you probably end up people not that you don't really get on with, not dislike, but you don't get on with. You find yourself cuddling them and your best mates, because what you've just achieved at that moment is brilliant, and it just brings that togetherness. But the gaffer changed that as well, so we are quite a close knit squad. We don't go out a lot as much as we should, but I think that's me being the captain and not being able to do it anymore.
Setting a good example.
Yeah, probably, yeah, but not really. But no, because these nights that you go out and you have a drink and stuff, I think it's massive. I'm a bit old school in the way of, I think it's massive for team spirit, and I think if you've got a good team spirit, it goes a long, long way. Obviously, you need a bit of quality, but I think team spirit's 80% for me to getting what you want at the end of the day.
Does this feel like your football club? Because it's an astounding place to play football, and if you're ever lucky enough to put the shirt on, then it's a privilege. But for someone like you, who's a proper favourite here, that's been here for such a long period of time, do you look round and this feels like your home?
Yeah, obviously I've been here, this is my 8th season now. They've took to me from day one, and even though I love football, I didn't really know they were as big as they were until we went to Wembley the first time. And I seen that and I was like, well, this is really, it's massive. But they've been brilliant with me since I've come here. My family, they've been brilliant towards my family. But the most important thing is that before I came here, I was in and out of teams in the Premier League, but not really playing, sitting on the bench, travelling, not making squads. And then I've come here and apart from the odd game where I've been injured, I've played almost every game, and that was the most important thing. Got to an age at 23 where I was thinking, I love football so much that I'm actually not doing what I love because I'm just going and watching, and I just wanted to go and play, and these gave me it, so I feel privileged and want to give back to them in the best way possible.
You talk about people going to watch a football match, which obviously any footballer doesn't want to, but the fans will turn up in huge numbers and a massive voice on the final day. Do you must meet them all the time in and around Sheffield. Do you have a message for them ahead of this game, the biggest game?
Just to stick with us. Obviously, the support throughout the season's been amazing. They know what I think about them. I've never played in front of a better crowd. I've spoke to the boys in the changing room, and I just try to shake them and say, just get to Wembley and you won't forget that day no matter what happens, because I remember the last time we lost, but it was one of the best days I've had as a footballer, even though we lost. To see that support afterwards and beforehand and stuff was amazing. So I've just said to the boys, get there and you won't forget this day for the rest of your lives. But no, just to thank them for their support throughout the season, and we've got one last big push that we need them. We needed them on Thursday night and they came through for us, so we're going to need them again on Monday, and I'm sure they'll be there for us, but if they can be as loud as they possibly can, I'm confident we'll give them the right result.
It's going to be high pressure, it's going to be tense. Any nerves at all?
No, not yet.
Do you get nervous?
I don't know, I've always said no, but there's certain things that I do and I find myself looking back and think that might be nerves. I try to mess around, really, to be honest, in the changing room, and it's not that I'm nervous and I'm trying to hide it. It's just the way I've always been. I'm quite loud and want to just have a joke with people and that, but when it comes to game time, then I'm quite serious, and there'll be nerves, but they'll go as soon as I cross that line.
And I know that you're a proud Scotsman, of course, but this is a proud part of a very proud county in this country. It's a South Yorkshire derby. Does that factor into anything that you might feel when it comes to the game, or anything that the fans want to relay towards you?
No, not really. It's a derby game, so it adds to the game a little bit for everybody outside of here, fans-wise, and that. I'm obviously growing up a boyhood Celtic fan, so I know
You know
what
all about
derbies are all
rivalry.
about. So I know what it means for the fans.
Yeah.
But like I said, us as players, we've got to switch off from that. We've got to treat it like a normal game, and how we would prepare for that and how we go into that. Because once you start thinking of things like this, your mind actually wanders from what you're actually trying to go out there and do. But don't get it twisted, we know what it means to the fans, and I can safely say that we'll go out there and leave everything on the pitch to get them the right result and the bragging rights.
Paz, it's been a pleasure, mate. I'll just say, I'm sure there'll be Wednesday fans watching this saying, please tell him not to go on the trampoline between now and Wembley. So stay off the trampoline, and if you go up, you can enjoy it as much as you possibly can.
Brilliant. Thank
Pleasure.
you. Cheers.
Cheers,
Top man, mate.